Hi, hello everyone. This is the fourth part in a series of videos regarding to the spouse or common law partner in Canada class. And please watch my other videos in the playlist for full pictures of the sponsorship program and know how to create an online account and principal applicant profile. Alright. And in this video today, I will guide you through the steps of how to complete the form IMM 5406. That is the additional family information. Okay. So you can locate the form on the left side of that application or maybe down here under the digital forms, and that is the form in progress now. All right, so let's click on the edit button so that we can start with the form. All right. Okay, here you go, guys. Inside this form, the principal applicant will need to provide the Immigration Canada the information about his parents, children, spouse, and siblings. All right. And in my case, I'm sponsoring my husband, John Smith. So John Smith is a principal applicant, and all of the information in here is about him and his family. All right. And before we start, we need to clear the information in this paragraph. Okay, it said that the principal applicant needs to fill out this form for yourself and on behalf of any family members 18 years of age and older who are not already Canadian citizen or permanent resident. In the specific case of John Smith, he does not have a dependent over 18, just one son who is Peter Smith, 5 years old. So you don't see the dependent child name in this part down here, okay, because it is only for the person who's over 18. However, if you have dependent child over 18 years old in the profile, okay, and then the child is included in the application, then the child's name will pop up below here automatically. All right, and John Smith will need to fill out this form IMM 5406 for himself and on behalf of the dependent child over 18. Okay, so let's go back to the profile page and enter the dependent child over 18 and see how it impacts this form. Okay, so in here profile, or maybe you can go back to that profile, is the same. Okay, let's click in my profile, and down here you can see add the dependent. Also down here you can see Peter Smith, the dependent of John Smith, 5 years old, so he's not in the form IMM 5406 as we see that before. And let's click in the add dependent here over 18 to see how it comes to the form IMM 5406. And that dependent needs to be in the application for permanent residence, all right? And with the principal applicant, of course. And it doesn't matter if he or she is accompanying John Smith to Canada or not at this time. Okay, so let's do it now. Add dependent, and then let's say if he is coming to Canada with John Smith at this time, and then relationship, that is the child, and then family name, Smith, Patricia, and then date of birth. Okay, so that child, that dependent is over 18. Okay, but let's define about the dependent child as per definitions by the IRCC. The definitions of dependent child in the guide from the IRCC, it said that your child can be considered a dependent child if they are under 22 years old and don't have a spouse or common law partner. All right, and if the children's 22 years old and older, can be qualified as dependents if they meet both the requirements below. The first one is they have depended on their parents for financial support since before the age of 22, and after 22 years old, they are unable to financially support themselves because of a mental or physical condition. All right. However, in the most common case, the most common scenario, the dependent child is defined as under 22 years old and they don't have a spouse or common law partner. All right. They can be added into the dependent in here. Okay. And then after that, we save the details. Okay, and then the name of Patricia in here, Patricia Smith, 19 years old now, and then we save and continue and see how it affects. Okay, now let's go to that form IMM 5406 and then click on the edit, see, you can see Patricia Smith. Her name is in here already. And then John Smith needs to fill out his form. And then on behalf of Patricia Smith, he will need to fill out this form on behalf of her as well. Okay. Okay, but let's go back to that profile and then remove Patricia Smith so that I can continue with the application. All right. And then in here, I delete. And then I save and continue. And then go back to IMM 5406. All right, so now I have only John Smith, the principal applicant in the form. All right, and then let's click on the edit and continue with the form. Okay, so here is the additional family information form, and it has section A, B, and C. Okay, in section A, it needs information from the principal applicant, the spouse, and parents. Okay, and the info here is very straightforward, and let's complete it. John Smith, the name and the date of birth, it pop up automatically from the profile. Country of birth, marital status, you can select common law or legal or married physically present or married not physically present or unknown. Okay, however, in most cases that is married physically present. And then the email address, and provide the address below in here. You will need to provide the Canada address because you are here in Canada with your spouse, and then that is why it is the inland spousal sponsorship. And in here the guide said that don't leave Canada. Okay, in here it said if your spouse or common law partner leave Canada while the application is being processed, then there is no guarantee that they will be allowed to re-enter Canada. And it is especially true if they need a visitor visa. All right, so in the case that you sponsor your spouse inside Canada already with you, then recommendation that don't leave Canada. Okay, and then that is why in here you need to provide the address that is in Canada because you both live together now. Okay, the second part, that is a relationship with the spouse, common law partner or conjugal partner. The full name, that is my part. Okay, that is my name, the person who sponsor, that is the spouse of John Smith. My name, Laura Smith. Date of birth, I made it up. Marital status, email, and then address, the same. Okay, and now let's go to the parent. Parent in here, you can put parent 1, like your mother, and parent 2 is your father, for example. Okay, full name, the parent number 1, Bo Smith. Date of birth, country of birth, marital status, email. If he or she doesn't have email, then just put it as not applicable. Okay, and then the address that the dad is living now. Okay, and then relationship number 2, mother. Okay, the full name, date of birth, country of birth, marital status, email, she doesn't have, address, the same with that. All right, and then after that you save and continue. So now it comes to the section B, the children's information in here. Okay, and all information in this part is principal applicant children's information. And let's look into the instruction guide from Immigration Canada. Okay, and the children in this part, the section B in here, will be from your married, from your adoption, or from your spouse or common law, let's say stepchildren or spouse adopted children, etc. Okay, and it doesn't matter the child is Canadian citizen or permanent resident, or if the child is dependent in this sponsorship applications or not, and it does not matter how old they are. Just list the name in here as long as they fall into the children category that I mentioned in the guide in here. All right, and then you must answer all the questions, and if any sections that don't apply to you, then you enter not applicable. Okay, for example, if you don't have any children, It's so slow. Okay, if you don't have children in here, you just put not applicable. All right. And in the case of John Smith, the principal applicant in this application, we have one child together, that is Peter Smith. Okay, so I put the child's name in here, and John Smith does not have any other child. Let me do that. So the sum. Now it comes to the email address. If the child 5 years old doesn't have an email address, then you can put your email address. It's okay. If not, you can put it not applicable. Okay, but I would say I put my like John Smith's address, email address. Okay, and for the physical address, if the child currently stays with John Smith in Canada and we are filing the inland spousal sponsorship application for John Smith and the child, I will sign the representative form to be his representative. So the address in here, I will put down here is my address. Okay. All right, and then after that, I save and continue. Okay, so here is section C, and this part will be the principal applicant siblings. Let's take a look in the instruction guide from IRCC to see who should we enter here, okay? And in here, it said that write about your brothers, your sister, half brother and half sister, and step brother and step sister, okay? So whoever falls into this category, then you name them all in here. So let's make it clear again. The information of the siblings here are from the principal applicant, not the sponsor, alright? And it means that John Smith's siblings, not my siblings. And if principal applicant does not have any siblings, then you enter not applicable in here, alright? So let's assume that John Smith has one sister and he will give me the information so that I can fill out for him. So let's do it. When we are done, we save and continue. Wonderful. So we just completed the form IMM 5406, that is additional family information for John Smith in here, all right? John Smith doesn't have dependent in the application over 18 years old, so just his form be filled. Let's click in the complete and return to application. Okay, here you go, guys. The status now is ready to submit for the form IMM 5406. If you need to edit anything, just click in here and feel free to edit. Alright, so that's it for today, guys. Please stay tuned for upcoming videos on this series of inland spousal sponsorship in Canada. Also, please watch my other previous videos in this playlist to have a full understanding of the program. Okay, that program is Spouse or Common Law Partner in Canada class, and also the forms assistance. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye bye.